What is up? This is your LA in a minute, and there's something we use every day in Los Angeles, especially during the summer, that we take for granted, even though it changed the course of the entire history of Los Angeles. I'm talking about air conditioning. That's right. Think about places like Palmdale or Woodland Hills that routinely hit 120 degrees during the summer. We simply wouldn't be able to have thriving neighborhoods in those areas if it weren't for air conditioning. So grab a cold drink, turn your thermostat down, and let me tell you about why air conditioning changed the course of the history of Los Angeles. Let's get into it. So let's get this straight. Los Angeles may not be the prototypical desert, at least from the technical perspective, but it's mighty close. Low rainfall totals, lots of evaporation, and sky-high temperatures, especially during the summer and early autumn. And while part of Los Angeles County actually is desert, the Mojave Desert, Lancaster, Quartz Hill, Palmdale are all part of Los Angeles. And through the history of mankind, there have been very few successful civilizations emerging from the desert. I mean, in 1810, which wasn't that long ago, the population of Los Angeles, including indigenous people, was only 2,902 people, mostly due to the unforgiving heat, especially during that summer and early autumn time. So by 1830, as Los Angeles continued to swelter, a man named John Gorey across the continent in Florida experimented with ice in a machine that blew air over a bucket of ice to create a cooling effect, one of the first efforts at air conditioning. But it wasn't until 1902 in Brooklyn that a man named Willis Carrier, who was tasked with solving a problem at his printing company that caused pages to wrinkle, designed a system that controlled humidity using cooling coils and secured a patent for an apparatus for treating air, the original name of what we now know as an air conditioner. But AC was still a thing of the future. The first home AC unit wasn't installed until 1913 in the home of Charles Gilbert Gates, who never got to use it because he passed away before it could be turned on. And it's worth noting that quote-unquote home unit was actually 7 foot by 6 foot by 20 feet. Not too useful for most homes. So as Los Angeles was really first emerging as a world city in the 1910s and 1920s, there still was no AC. In fact, the concept was still so foreign in 1921 that the Pasadena Post had to write a little article defining what air conditioning really was. However, that all changed right before the golden age of Hollywood in 1922 when the Metropolitan Theater opened right here in Los Angeles. The Carrier Engineering Corporation from Willis Carrier installed the first well-designed cooling system. And people, well, they finally were able to cool off indoors. Air conditioning was finally installed everywhere. Offices, courthouses, stores, trains, and everywhere in between as air conditioning started to become big business here in Los Angeles. And by 1939, Packard released the first car that had an air conditioning option. And in car-crazy Los Angeles, well, that changed the culture. LA was first beginning that sprawl that's so familiar to us today. Growth into areas that were formerly less habitable due to those climates. In-home AC units, though still large, were less bulky and able to be placed inside homes. In fact, they were pre-designed into new developments, a prerequisite in the suburbs that would begin to define Los Angeles. And when Nobel Junior High in Northridge became the first school in Los Angeles to have air conditioning in 1962, that kicked off a new generation of students and children accustomed to growing up with air conditioning in LA. And it continued to be significant because it was a new concept. When CSUN's library had air conditioning, it was front page news. And now we take it for granted. 90% of the homes in Los Angeles have central heating and air conditioning. But it's not that long ago that we didn't. And air conditioning is so consequential to the city of Los Angeles that we have our own museum, the Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Museum in downtown Los Angeles. So whether you keep your thermostat at 70, 72, or 67, fact is, AC is a major reason why Los Angeles developed into the metropolis it is, and it changed the course of the history in our great city. All right, LA, it's been a minute.